Netflix, Hulu, TikTok.
Dude, Netflix for sure.
Yeah.
Suits. I am.
Dude,
Yeah.
I love
I'm tucked in.
Suits.
I'm tucked into Suits.
I'm tucked in.
Steph got me on the first episode, and now it's just like I have flown by her. I am like, good luck catching up.
Do you watch it on Netflix? Is that where you watch it? Dude, I tell you what, I'm an OG Suits guy.
Love Suits. When I grow up, I want to be Harvey Specter. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Blueprint Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Maxwell.
And I'm also your host. This is Zach Heyer.
And today we are talking about distractions. And in your beginner level of entrepreneurship or starting a business or even in the middle of a mindset shift, we're talking about distractions because that's relatable. We've both been through sharpening seasons at the beginning of our entrepreneurship journey. And so we can really speak on distractions, can't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, and I mean, even if you're not like a entrepreneur or a business owner and you're just trying to maximize the use of your time, we kind of want to just talk about, do you have to fully eliminate distractions or is there a happy balance? So I think, one of the first things is let's define some distractions. So and chime into this if you can think of any, but I would consider Netflix, Hulu, TikTok.
Dude, Netflix for sure.
Yeah.
Suits.
Dude, I love
I'm tucked in.
Suits.
I'm tucked into Suits.
I'm tucked in.
Steph got me on the first episode, and now it's just like I have flown by her. I am like, good luck catching up.
Do you watch it on Netflix? Is that where you watch it? Dude, I tell you what, I'm an OG Suits guy.
Love Suits. When I grow up, I want to be Harvey Specter.
Oh, it's the best. Where was it before it came on Netflix? I watched the entire season.
Yeah,
or the entire series. What was that on? Was it on Hulu? I think it might have been on Hulu.
Yeah,
because I was watching commercials.
Yeah, Needless to say, distraction.
Yes.
Yeah. So I Netflix, Hulu.
Yep. And another one. Do you watch Seinfeld?
Love Seinfeld,
dude. I've been on a Seinfeld kick.
Well, my stepdad got me into Seinfeld years ago, and I'm like,
oh my gosh. And I'm
loving every minute of it, Jerry.
Yeah. Anywho, Netflix, Hulu.
Speaking of distractions.
Yeah. We're on the podcast talking about our favorite shows.
Yeah. No, but as you can see, there is clear evidence that people do get distracted. So let's just say TV shows in general.
Yep.
Me personally, it's always been, I'm a cinema guy. Love good cinema, old and new. That's a distraction.
I'll tell you a big one for me. And I've kind of had a revelation about it, but it's not right now, but football season.
Yeah.
Dude, there would be points where I would just sit on the couch on a Saturday.
Not move for hours.
Dude, I remember 2 years ago, I have YouTube TV.
Yeah.
So, and I have a pretty decent sized TV, and YouTube TV has this awesome thing where it has the 4 squares where you can have multi screens and multi different games. And so you can get 4 different games on. And then I would literally bring down my TV from my bedroom and prop it up and stream on there too. So I could have a football game on there, and then I could have the 4 screens.
You're overstimulating me already.
Dude, I mean, it was like I was at B-Dubs, but in my house.
That football season's a distraction. Dude, talk about sports.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, just the typical ones of, scrolling on TikTok, scrolling on, social media and reels and stuff of that sort. So
Facebook Marketplace.
Do you
guys love Facebook Marketplace?
Do you scroll on Facebook Marketplace?
I love Marketplace. I'm not even buying anything. I just want to see what's for sale.
Really?
Yeah,
dude. I cannot. I never get on Marketplace.
Yeah.
What do you do? You just go to see
it's a garage. It's every garage sale that you could ever imagine at your fingertips.
See, I'm kind of a snob, and like I really don't like
know.
going to garage sales.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Distractions.
Yeah.
And we say all this now, but I will say, I'll be the first one to say, okay, in the beginning of the entrepreneurship journey, when I was just in a season of like, hey, I want to get better, I want to work, self-education, nothing else exists. I mean, there was one point where I tried to eliminate all distractions. I took it to the extreme, which I
Mhm.
don't think is bad. You know, everything's good in moderation. I don't think
Yeah.
it's bad. I think there's a good season for it.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: do you think that it's necessary when you start to completely eliminate, or do you think that you'll get burnt out, or do you think that that's just what it takes to, get off the ground?
I don't think it's what it takes, but it definitely helps. I do think you can get burnt out pretty quick. Like it was to a point where all I did was read, listen to Audible, listen to podcasts, and I got rid of all my TVs.
Did you
in
really?
my apartment, got rid of my video game system, and then deleted all my social media because I was like, I'm just going to read and I'm just going to research. Now, holy crap, the benefits that came from it. Yeah.
We'll get into some of those. What were some of the benefits that you experienced?
Oh my gosh. Well, one, it's like we always talk about health is wealth. It's like, so I was able, rather than playing video games, I was going to the gym.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. And while I was at the gym, I was listening to podcasts. I was reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, which got me into real estate investing.
Yep.
I was, watching sermons and then motivational videos and just people talking about certain business topics to where I did a lot of self-education.
Mm-hmm.
Learned a lot about real estate investments, which is ultimately where I'm at today. And so
Yeah.
that's ultimately the benefit. But I was the one that took it to the extreme of like, hey, nothing else exists except self-education and all that stuff. I could see how people got burnout on it real quick. The only reason I didn't is because I kind of slowly weaned my way back into like, hey,
civilization.
Yeah. When Steph came over to my apartment, I wouldn't think I would look too cool without a TV. So I had to go buy a TV, and that's what broke the cycle.
Okay. Right.
So anyway, but yeah, I think it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously everything's good in moderation, like I've already said, but I do think you can get burnt out real quick.
Yeah, I do. I don't know, man. I just have such conflicting ideas on this because I hear all ends of the spectrum, right? Because I hear some of these like, top level guru guys that are like, man, you just have to be so productive with every single, hour, minute of the day. And, you just got to be locked in. And part of that I completely agree with. Like you have to eliminate some distractions to some degree and almost of like not even eliminate, but you're just so busy focusing on the target and on the goal of where you're heading and what you're doing. And you're busy in that you just don't have time for.
I'll tell you, in that season that I was in of like where I was just working all the time and like not playing like all that stuff that I just talked about. I will tell you, I had no life.
Yeah.
No life. And those were like I didn't go to college, but those were the college years.
Yeah.
I didn't really have a life with my friends. Everything was no, because I was working or doing something else.
And that, yeah.
So that's the downside. But
it is the downside. And I just hear so many ends of the spectrum because like Hormozy, right? He's one of them where he's like, he calls exactly what you just said, the season to know. Where he's like, I just get in a season and Layla and I do not do anything but just grind. And when friends ask us to go out, the answer is no. When we want to go out on dinners and whatnot, the answer is no. Because we're just committed to the task at hand. And another thing that he says that I like is so many of these beliefs can be proven wrong. What do I mean by that? Is there people that watch Netflix and watch college football in the NFL or sports in general or scroll on TikTok that are wildly successful? The answer is yes, you can find them. So that means it's possible to do some of those things and still be successful. are there people that grind and and eliminate everything, but are not successful and fail at what they do? The answer is yes. There are those types of people. So really, wherever you fall in the spectrum, there are people that have come before you that have accomplished whatever end result that you're seeking. So for me, and feel free to agree or disagree, I feel like balance is really important.
Do you think at the beginning of starting a business you can have balance?
That's a great question.
I'll give you my answer if you want to hear it first.
The answer is I don't think so.
I don't think so.
If
you want a successful business, I don't think you can have balance, because if so, you're going to have no money. You'll have time, but you'll have no money. That's
a fact. And when I say balance, I don't necessarily mean like, oh, I'm taking weekends off and I'm taking evenings off and all that kind of stuff. I'm more saying like balance in terms of, do I have to eliminate everything?
Got it.
Because, I'm 100% in agreement when you're like trying to build a business, like balance in terms of like work-life balance. See ya.
Well, my buddy Frank Crockett says you have to harvest while it's ripe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And for me, I think that it's worth it because it is sacrificing what I want now for what I want most.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the long-term goal of, like, for example, it is my objective to, when Tanya and I have kids, I want to be able to be actively involved in their life. Like, I want to be able to take them to school and pick them up from school and be able to go to their sporting events and be able to, work with them in like whatever sporting event that they're in, right? If they're playing, football, I want to be able to go let my son go run routes and throw balls to him. Or if my daughter's, playing back, whatever it may be, like, I just want to be an active, involved father. And that's, if I want to get to that point and have that kind of time, freedom, flexibility, while also having the financial flexibility, I got to put it in the work right now.
Business owners, do you know the value of creating a strong brand and realize social media is one of the best ways to do it, but don't have the time to stay consistent or know where to start? Do you need a modern website or an eye-catching logo? You only get one first impression, and you've got to make it count. No matter if you're looking for a website, a logo package, or if you need a professional to craft and implement a custom social media strategy to create a recognizable brand and drive sales, the Z&T agency has got you covered. Odds are you've probably been thinking about these things to some degree, but didn't know a solution. Or maybe this is all new to you and you're interested in hearing more. Either way, we'd love to talk to you. Reach out to Zach.Hire at theztagency.com to book your consultation call today.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, so that doesn't just come.
So the answer of like, hey, when is there a correct balance as far as like going extreme discipline and extreme grind to, hey, I can kind of take a step back. I think it's more of it's a question it's an answer that you're going to get through different seasons.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is going to change throughout seasons. If you're in the beginning of your business, I'm sorry, but I don't think you have time to be non-disciplined and have a bunch of distractions in your life. And that's
totally
what Hormozi would call, what is it? The season of no.
Season of no.
And
yep.
No.
Yeah.
And so maybe later on when you're successful and maybe you've hired some people, then yeah, maybe, but still when you start to lead more, you also start to work more.
Yeah.
I do think it is, important to find that balance. However, we looked up the statistic, average CEOs read 50 books a year.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost a book a week.
And I
talk about the self-education and time that takes.
Yeah, totally. And I also think that to that point, I feel like you never reach a point. I mean, and I can only speak for myself. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think that I'll ever reach a point to where all I want to do is just kick my feet up and do nothing.
Yeah.
I constantly want to be improving myself, my situation, my family, And that doesn't happen from me just like, scrolling TikTok all day long or
So
whatever.
if you want to be, if you're okay with complacency, let
Yeah.
the distractions in.
Yeah. And I think that it also just like, it comes down to what's your objective out of life?
Yep.
Like, what do you want out of life? What do you want to achieve? Who do you as a person want to be?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be a fully actualized version of your full potential? Do you want to be, a top performer? Do you want to be elite at what you do? Do you want to be an elite, father, husband, partner, friend, member of your community? Or do you just want to, just do what you need to do to get by? I think that that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. And just for a little bit of insight, we met with a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company last week for lunch, and I'll tell you, you want to be in the world of a CEO. Talk about no distractions. Dude wakes up at 3:30 a.m. to work out, gets to the office, works until probably 6 p.m., reads and writes a book.
Yeah.
And he works 6 days a week.
And that shows you the level of dedication, the level of work, and the level of intentionality that you have to get to that level.
Yes.
I mean,
and obtain that title.
Yeah. 1,000%. I
Yeah.
mean, especially at that magnitude, that doesn't just come. And I think that that's something, not to get a little cynical, but I feel like that there's just like this kind of entitled mentality among, like, I would say all generations, but specifically like our generation and the younger generation of, they expect to be given a lot without doing the work to receive what that a lot is. They want to just be able to do the basics, but be paid a premium.
Yeah, and I think that really ties well with the whole discipline thing of like, or doing the work, no distractions topic of like, hey, if you're not going to do the work, don't expect the outcome.
100%.
And I think that's a pretty bad trait, like you said, not to get too cynical. I think it's a pretty rough trait of the next generations. And I don't want to sound, money is not my idol, disclaimer.
Yeah.
And so when I say I want to be a millionaire, I don't want to be a millionaire because of the money. I want to be a millionaire because of the man that it's going to shape me into along the way. As far as like,
so good.
Exactly. So I think, if we were to answer the question, do you let distractions in? I would say that depends on your desire of success. Because if you want success, the answer is no.
And depends on your season of life. Like how much have you already put in?
Yeah.
How much sweat equity have you already poured in? Question on that. Do you think social media totally as a whole is a complete waste of time?
Depending on the business, I think it can be.
For
me in real estate, obviously not, because that's half of where I get my business.
No. I'm not talking from a business standpoint, because I mean, we had this. I mean, that we're on a marketing. Like, I think for a business, it's extremely important. I mean, more so for personal consumption. Sorry, I didn't make a personal disclaimer. Or, I didn't make a disclaimer of like, I think for business. I mean,
I get
obviously,
it.
partial, but it's absolutely important. So if you're listening and you're a business, this is not what I'm talking about, because you need to be on socials.
Personally, is social media a waste of time?
Personal consumption.
90% of the time, yeah.
Okay.
Because I think the other 10% is like, because in the end, it's like, I think there's more bad than there is good to it. But ultimately, too, I think there's a lot of good to it as far as like a relational aspect, getting to keep up on family and life events. And,
I agree.
I agree. Stuff like that. I mean, but that's like hardly at all. I would say scrolling through videos is probably not the best use of somebody's time.
I disagree.
Okay.
Okay. there is major caveats to that disagreement.
Oh yeah, no, it's
Major.
like
so
if your algorithm is
you're right. So,
yeah.
and that's what I'm talking about. So like for me, I guess just the algorithm is so powerful. A lot of the things that I learn come from TikTok, believe it or not.
Well, yeah, like if I get a lot of information and news from socials.
Yeah. Well, and dude, okay. The BOI form that
for the LLCs,
for the LLCs that we've been talking about and all that kind of stuff that's filing. By the way, if you're a business owner, there's a new BOI form that you need to fill out if you have an LLC. And if it was created prior to 2024, you have until 2025 to do it. If the entity was created in 2024, you have like 90 days. But if you don't do it, the penalties are severe. It's like $500 a day.
Shout out to Stackler Harmon. They'll make it happen for you. Hit them up.
Yep.
Attorneys at law.
Yep. They can do that for you.
But anyway, the education that comes from socials. Yes.
I learned that I needed to do that BOI form from TikTok. No joke.
I learned it from you. So thank you, TikTok.
Yeah. So because I followed, it was from a CPA account, and he's like, I get on there to learn, tax strategies and write-offs. And so I learned it from that account. We beat this horse dead, but I follow Hormozy, and he puts out great educational content. Ryan Pineda, he puts out great content. And there's so many awesome creators that are so intelligent that are just pouring out their knowledge. So
in that case, yes, social media is good. To the average American, however, is where my mindset was. But like if it's like I follow a bunch of realtors, real estate moguls, stuff like that, motivational stuff.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Ryan Serhant.
Yeah. And then like sermons too, like sermon clips I'll watch. Like that's good. Yeah.
Totally. And
so I think if you're disciplined with it, it could be very good.
I think so too. And I think that it comes down to your intended use, right? Are you on there to learn, or are you on there to kind of
get a dopamine hit?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
are you looking to buy, sell, or invest? Be sure to use a Maxwell Group at NavX Realty, where your dream is our passion. The Maxwell Group takes pride in client relationships and experiences. We utilize our knowledge, our love for the industry, and our extensive network to handle your life's biggest investment. Call or text Spencer Maxwell at 937-572-5382.
I totally agree with your...
That's a loaded question.
I know. And that's... I kind of wanted to throw that on there so that way we could have some dialogue.
But yeah, that's a huge... to the average American, huge distraction.
1,000%.
It could be very... I just think that question comes back to like, hey, how are you going to use it?
Yep. Yep. And then it all comes down to... exactly. Your intended use, your mindset of what you're looking to do. Are you just looking to numb out and scroll and get some entertainment? Or are you, trying to improve yourself?
Now, to piggyback off that, so we talk a lot about distractions. We know, obviously, like we've talked about in your beginner journey, you're going to have to eliminate distractions and grind it out.
Mm-hmm.
However, how do you decompress though too? Because if your mind's go, like there's some days where my mind is complete mush because it's like, I started at 6 a.m. and I just did really hard was thinking super hard throughout the whole day.
And my brain is
mush.
Totally.
Yeah. I'll go watch a movie to decompress and just kind of, for lack of a better word, numb out.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I mean, I would say,
I think so.
Yeah.
It's like, I think it's tough to be the go. Yes, you get burnt out real quick. And plus it's like, man, that unless you have the mental stamina, that's pretty tough to be going like 15-hour days all the time.
Oh my gosh.
Nonstop thinking about it. You have to have a way to decompress.
I 100% agree. I 100% agree.
In that sense, if you find a way to decompress, that's fine, but don't let it pour over into a distraction.
Well, I think that you need to qualify the work that you've put in to deserve that, decompress.
That's a good way to put it.
I think that you definitely need to deserve it. And in being completely honest with yourself of, have I legitimately put in the work today? that I'm just at a point to where I just need to like relax. Because if the answer is no, and I mean, nobody's going to, I mean, especially if you're self-employed and you're the guy, nobody is really going to be able to make that decision for you but you. So you're going to have to get extremely honest with yourself of, you know, do I feel like I have genuinely given it my all today to a point to where, yeah, I deserve to, you know, sit down and watch a little TV, Seinfeld, Suits, a movie, scroll on TikTok, Reels, whatever that may be, whatever it is for you to decompress.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you another example of decompressing, at least for me. I've got to exercise to decompress. Like
that's a good
dude, that helps me so much in terms of like, if it's just been like of a day, throwing around some weights, like helps if you're frustrated or whatever that may be. That's a huge like release for me to just like, I throw in my headphones, literally noise cancel everything, get in my own world. And it's just, I get some time alone. So I will say, if you haven't tried that, exercising is a great form of decompressing.
Yeah. So definitely highly recommend eliminating distractions at the beginning. You know, it is going to be a season of grind and you will have a season of no. And also like our buddy Alex Hormozy says, you know, in that season of grind, you're going to have to pay that ignorance tax. You're going to have to go through a lot there. You're going to have to eliminate a lot of distractions, get a lot of the ugly out of the way. So, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it just really all comes down to, what do you want out of life? What do you want to achieve? And if you want to be a part of the top 1%, you got to be willing to do the things that the other 99 are not willing to do.
Yeah. And the other 9, yeah, exactly. Top 1% are sitting on the couch.
No, you got to, you got to do what's required. And sometimes what's required at first is not balanced.
Yeah.
Right. But
yeah, I'm telling you right now, if you want to be an entrepreneur, especially at first, you will not have balance.
But if done correctly and done consistently, and you do achieve what you set out to achieve, hopefully that will be down the road of not only,
you'll find it eventually.
Yeah. Not only the work-life balance, but like so many people have either time freedom. And if they have time freedom, they don't have financial freedom. A lot of people have financial freedom, but they don't have time freedom, right? Because they're tied to a job or whatever it may be. The goal is to get to a point to where you have not only financial freedom, but you also have time freedom to enjoy the financial freedom. And I think that could be the result of where you go if you sacrifice at the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's what my goal is.
Sacrifice those distractions.
Yep.
So sounds good. Really good stuff on the topic of distractions here. A lot of it boils down to discipline, I think, is we could call this freaking distractions and discipline. Yeah. You know, is basically what boils down to. Right. So as always, we want to leave you with a little bit of God's word. Zachary, what do you got?
Yep. And I think this is pretty applicable today for today's topic, Ephesians 5:15 and 16. So then be careful how you live. Do not be unwise, but wise, making the best use of your time because the times are evil. I think that ties in very well to today's time distractions conversation.
Be wise and make the best use of your time.
Yeah.
Because if you waste your time by not fulfilling God's will for you, then you're really wasting his time.
Totally. I agree.
And I don't want to waste God's time.
Not at all. And on that note, not to drag this out too long, but dude, I am just such a huge proponent that God has given us gifts. God has given us potential. And it is our job to be a steward of those gifts and of that potential. And if we're not trying to maximize everything that God has put put in us, I think that we're doing him a disservice.
Yep. But just don't get it twisted on the journey and give it all to God as you go.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I agree. Well, if you guys could do us a huge favor, and if you could share this with a couple other people, other entrepreneurs, other friends, other people, aspiring entrepreneurs, or people that you think would just, like to hear Zach and Spencer talk.
I don't know who that would be.
I know.
Not many people.
But that would be much appreciated. And if you are feeling like just a fantastic listener, if you could leave us a review, that would be much, much appreciated. So that's all we got for this week on the Blueprint Podcast. And we will catch you next week.
Peace.
Peace.